Member for New Maryland-Sunbury.
Well, Mr. Speaker, here we go again. Mr. Speaker, just 2 days after hearing the news that the George Dumont Hospital will be built by a Quebec company, here we are again seeing this Premier sell out New Brunswickers once again by allowing our Crown utility to buy MB Power poles outside of the province, Mr. Speaker. It's shameful. It's shameful. The very same people that stood up for MB Power when Sean Graham tried to sell it, to defend MB Power because we wanted to keep our Crown utility here. Well, Mr. Speaker, the people of this province are sick and tired of this poor leadership coming from the Premier. When the snowplows were going to Quebec, Mr. Speaker, the Premier had to step in from his office and change that contract. Will he step in today and protect New Brunswickers, protect our power poles, protect Marwood, and keep our poles right here in New Brunswick?
Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is going on about building walls around our province, Mr. Speaker, just like Trump did in the U.S. Our government is about tearing those walls down. We're an export-driven province, Mr. Speaker. New Brunswick companies do business all over the world, and if we start building walls around our borders like the member opposite wants us to do, it's going to be very detrimental to New Brunswick companies and New Brunswick entrepreneurs and people that work in those companies, Mr. Speaker. Our government made a commitment that we're going to do everything we can to help New Brunswick businesses grow and prosper so we can grow our economy, so that we can continue to invest in our priorities, which is investing in infrastructure. We know where the Leader of the Opposition, the former Finance Minister, stands on that. He said that he would cut infrastructure dollars. In fact, when he was the Finance Minister under the former government, he gutted the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. He fired engineers. He let go frontline workers. And that's why we're in the shape we're in today, and we're getting it fixed.
Member for New Maryland-Sunbury.
Mr. Speaker, there's one thing the minister forgot to mention, that the Premier right now is selling off New Brunswick piece by piece. He's just doing it in a roundabout way. He's trying to clean up what Sean Graham couldn't get done. That's what he's doing today. And if he's not willing to stand beside everybody in this legislature and all New Brunswickers and stand up for New Brunswickers, stand up for our resources right here in this province, Mr. Speaker, because when Marwood sends a pole to MB Power, it comes off our Crown land, Mr. Speaker, at one of the highest stumpage fees paid to the province. That's all going away. The men and women that go to the woods and cut these poles, Mr. Speaker, are now going to lose their jobs, Mr. Speaker. It's shameful. I want to read the Premier a little quip from his 2014 speech from the throne. It says, "A new economic filter will help guide government decisions across departments. No longer will policies be enacted without first asking, what impact will this decision have on jobs in New Brunswick?" Well, Mr. Speaker, what impact will this decision have on jobs in New Brunswick?
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite might want to look in the years that they were in government under their leader when he was the finance minister. Major contracts, SNC Lavalin, a Quebec company, for the Princess Margaret Bridge. The Campbellton Hospital, a Quebec company, under the leader of the opposition when he was finance minister's leadership, Mr. Speaker. You look at the facts. In 2012-2013, under the previous government, the percentage of tenders awarded to non-New Brunswick firms was 16%, Mr. Speaker. In 2016-17, under the leadership of our Premier and this side of the House and our government, the percentage of business awarded to non-New Brunswick companies was 1%. To be learned from that side. We're going to get it done on this side.
Member for New Maryland-Sunbury.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is a government that's led by a fabricator, not a leader. That's for one thing that's for sure, Mr. Speaker. Maybe there's some fact-checking that needs to be taking place with those statements, Mr. Speaker. It's becoming very clear to New Brunswickers right now, more than ever, that New Brunswick needs a leader and a Premier that's built on experience, Mr. Speaker. No longer can we elect a Premier that's not ready to lead, a Premier that needs training wheels to get around this province, Mr. Speaker, because he has a lack of experience. Because he hasn't raised a family in this province, Mr. Speaker, because he hasn't sat in those rooms and negotiated big deals for New Brunswick, like this leader on this side of the House has, Mr. Speaker. This leader is ready to get things done for New Brunswick and protect New Brunswickers right here. Now, Mr. Speaker, I beg the Premier today to go out in that rotunda, tell the media and tell New Brunswickers that he's ready to stand up for them, and he's ready to keep buying our polls from our Crown properties.
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, New Brunswick has the most export-oriented economy in the country. Why is that, Mr. Speaker? Because we are a smaller market, so we need to export to larger markets. And it's also because we have businesses in New Brunswick that can compete with anyone around the world. Now, Mr. Speaker, we're going to help by investing in infrastructure, investing in our people through education and skills development. We're going to invest in innovation, make sure capital is available, and we're also going to reduce taxes for small businesses to help them compete. But, Mr. Speaker, I asked the Leader of the Opposition to clarify something for us today and to clarify for New Brunswickers. Does he believe in the Trump-era dialogue and the rhetoric coming from people like Trump, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to trade? Does the Leader of the Opposition not believe in free trade? Because what's coming from the members opposite is certainly all about putting up walls and barriers. If we do that, the New Brunswick economy will suffer. So where does the Leader of the Opposition stand when it comes to free trade?